Hey, welcome everyone. Tonight we're joined by a respected figure in the paranormal field whose journey began as a skeptic. In 1999, after experiencing an undeniable paranormal encounter, Adrian's perspective on the supernatural changed forever. Alongside his wife Tina, he founded River Valley Paranormal Research and Investigations, or RVPRI, in Fort Smith, Arkansas, in 2006 after experiencing activity in both of their own homes. Grounded in a strong biblical worldview and guided by common sense, Adrian has dedicated the last 2 decades to helping individuals and families facing unexplained and often frightening experiences. Adrian has conducted more than 400 home investigations, assisted hundreds of families through some of the darkest moments of their life. His work has gained national recognition, including appearance on Ghost Adventures during the investigation of Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. Also been featured in the paranormal films Soul Catcher and The Unseen, produced by the Booth Brothers for Sci-Fi. One of the other encounters was highlighted in the documentary Seekers, directed by Alan Lowe. Their experiences and expertise have also been featured in numerous books. In addition to his investigative work, Adrian can be heard every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on AMOC podcast, where he continues to discuss the paranormal from a unique and faith-based perspective. Please join us welcoming Adrian Sculf tonight on Unraveling the Darkness. Good evening, everyone. Jason is not with us again tonight. That dang old work stuff happens, and I'm going to drag him away from work one of these nights. So he'll be back. We are under a tornado watch and the threat of 4-inch hail here. So at any moment, I could be like, okay, guys, got to go. And we'll catch up with Adrian some other night. I've already discussed that with him. So we are good to go. I'm going to bring him in. We're going to get started.
What? You don't want to continue a show and your house is being blown away?
My truck only fits halfway in the garage. So I have to wait for kind of the hail to start and then I pull it in because I just don't want to leave the garage door open.
Yeah, I get it. I remember one time we had bad hail right after I bought a car, and I was throwing blankets over my car. I was doing everything I could because I don't have a garage at all. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. But that's Arkansas life.
Yeah. It's, we're kind of the same. We're in Wyoming and the weather can change on a dime. And that's what we're dealing with today. It's been really nice all day. The last hour and a half, it's gotten kind of dark to the south. So that's where we're at.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay weather.
If it isn't, let's see, Wyoming, if it isn't hail, then it's almost 100 degrees. And we only get that for like a few weeks. And then we go right into winter. So,
oh, nice.
That's, when you're 6,500 feet, it changes like that pretty quick. So,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
We live in an area here where we go through all the seasons every day. So, yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, thanks for coming on tonight. You sent your bio and I was like, holy cow. He's done a lot.
Well, we've been doing it since 2006, so back then there were a lot of teams, but in my area, there wasn't a whole bunch. And so, yeah, we got a lot of experience real quick, got to do a lot of stuff. So pretty fun.
Nice. So let's start with what got you into the paranormal. Obviously, this experience you had in 1999, right? I mean, is that where we kind of start?
Yeah, I mean, like I said in my bio, a spiritual perspective. I'm a Christian, pretty strong Christian, and I was like most Christians at the time. you died, you went either straight up or straight down. There was no such thing as ghosts. And we lived in a house in McAllister, Oklahoma, and my wife was telling me we had a ghost in the house, and I was not having any of it. There was just like no such thing. And of course, I was not being a very good, strong, supportive husband. I was making fun of her and inciting other people to make fun of her because she was just being silly, and and uh, just condensing this real hard. Uh, uh, One day when we was coming home from the movies, and McAllister is a small town, and it's one of those towns that rolls up the sidewalks when the sun goes down. And we were at the late movies. Kids are at home. It's just me and my wife uh, driving back. We're on the main drag, and McAllister coming down. So it was 2 lanes going both directions. You had an island in the middle. We was passing by the courthouse and coming up to a rail station, so it's well lit, kind of the biggest corner in town. And nobody else on the street. My wife and I were talking about the movie, and right at that moment, we saw something cross the road, and it just stunned us because uh, it didn't belong there. Uh, Really, what at first what we thought was there was a big black cat, like a huge uh, uh, Black Panther or something like that.
Okay.
But it didn't take us long to realize it wasn't a cat. There was no tail. We know what a cat looks like. We watch all the shows. We've been to the zoo, and we also noticed that the front shoulders were exaggerated way high above its back. And we're talking. We've been saying for years like 6 feet, but it's more than that. Probably like 8 feet long, and uh, just before it went out of sight, it kind of turned its head at us, and we could see it more like a bat face. So it's kind of pushed in, and
Oh,
my wife. Uh, I mean, we're in a like I said, we're in a full size Chevy van, and I had enough time to bring the van to a stop as it's crossing the road. It's 8 seconds at least, and it gets out of our sight, and Tina's like, "Did you see that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I saw something." So, "What did you see?" I'm like, "No, no, no, no," because I thought I lost my mind. And I said, "What did you see?" And she described exactly what I saw. And I'm like, my mind went demon, 100%, and her mind went gargoyle. So somewhere in between there is what it is. But whatever
so
it is, it didn't fit in our reality.
8 foot long. Was it on 2 legs or 4 legs?
It was on all 4 legs.
How tall?
That's why I said that's why we thought it was a cat. We thought it was just,
Right.
uh, going across the road. And like I said, it was well lit. It wasn't dim. It wasn't out in the woods. It wasn't yeah, and like I said, I had enough time to bring the car to stop because I'm like, "What the heck is that?" And, you know, 8 seconds when you're seeing something that bends your mind is a long time.
Yeah.
And, and so after the incident, of course, we're shook a little bit. Me probably more so than Tina because Tina believed in all that stuff. And so uh, we went home and we discussed it a little bit. And I heard the voices in the house. I heard all the sounds that she was saying. I'd never seen anything or wasn't touched like she was because she told me she was touched one time, and I just thought that was hilarious. But uh, but so I was like, okay, well, let me take this serious because if that was real, then everything else could be. So I was sitting there watching TV one night, and I heard the conversation, uh, the voices in the house. I muted the TV, and like I said, this back in '99. So I muted the TV, and the house that we lived in was this uh, like a Victorian style house. I mean, it wasn't all that fancy. It probably was when it was originally built. 3,500 square foot. It used to be an office type thing. It was a neat house, but it had bay windows. So when I heard the voices, I muted the TV. I could still hear the voices. I'm like, okay, it's coming from my left. So I get up, I walk into the dining room because it has to be my neighbors. I'm trying to convince myself what I've been telling Tina. It had to be the neighbors talking. So I look out the bay windows and I could see the neighbors weren't home. I could see the front yard, nobody's there. I could see the backyard, nobody's there. And I'm like, all right, I can hear the voices. They're still to my left. And I'm like, all right, so it's got to be somebody back in the alleyway. So I walk from the dining room into the kitchen, and as you go through the kitchen, there's a uh, little like eat-in nook in the kitchen that we wasn't using, and then through a door into the back where the washroom was and a screened-in porch. As I walked through that door, I realized I passed by the conversation to my
Oh,
left. So I stopped and I backed up. I turned to where that kitchen nook was, and the conversation then ended. And I was like, okay, well, these voices are coming from inside the house. So that was that. I labeled that as my first investigation, but I wasn't a ghost hunter at this point
hmm,
because I was like, that's the first time I ever tried to find the uh, the cause of anything going on. Uh, but as luck would have it, we I got a job offer back here in Fort Smith, which is where I wanted to be, and we moved back here just shortly after all that happened. Uh, and so, I mean, I started doing a deep dive into literature and trying to figure out where we stand as far as ghosts go, and the a lot of stuff in what we learn in Christianity has all the spiritual warfare aspect and ghosts and demons and angels and all that stuff. A lot of that stuff was taken out because they wanted the hierarchy to take care of that and not the lay people. And so I was deep diving into that stuff. But we moved into a rental house for about a year here, and then we bought the house that I'm in right now. And we wasn't here for maybe a month. And Tina's like, "Hey, I think this house is haunted." And I'm like, "Good Lord, come on." Uh, I mean, what's the possibilities, right? You hear on the shows all the time, that hauntings are rare, and if it was so rare, what does this mean for us? And but it took me. We bought the house in 2001. It took me till 2006 before I witnessed anything. So Tina's witnessing shadows in the house, hearing sounds. I'm working nights,
oh,
and she she's like telling me all these stories. I'm like, I just can't go there because I'm thinking, okay, now she's watching ghost hunters on TV. She's freaking herself out watching these stuff. That's what I'm thinking.
right.
And and my daughter was learning how to drive. We'd go out to Fort Chaffee, uh, and we'd I'd get up in the morning. I mean, come home in the morning. She'd get up, and we go out driving before it got hot, and give me a chance to wind down from work. And this was my Friday, so I told her, yeah, don't get up in the morning. Let me take a little nap. We'll go out a little later. And she said, fine. But so I come home that morning, and uh, I come home, and uh, I walk in the door, and my house I got a foyer, uh, kitchen, dining room, living room, back to the foyer and square and dens in the back. But I open up the door and I see the shadow being cast into the kitchen. I'm like, dang it, she forgot, right? So I get in there, I walk into the kitchen, the shadows start to retreat away from me. I turn to my left, the shadow now changes directions. I don't snap to this yet, changes directions, and then comes into the living room. And then I walk into the living room, which is completely dark. And then my brain starts to process everything. And I'm like, the only light that was in the house is coming from the kitchen window. Shadows don't change directions unless there's another light source. There wasn't a light source. So I'm standing there in the dark living room, and then I go upstairs and climb into bed. And I told Tina, I think I saw your ghost. And she was so excited at that point. But but it wasn't until I saw a full body apparition here in the house
Oh,
that we decided to start the team because we had we were changing a utility room downstairs because I live in one of the multi-level homes, split-level homes,
Okay.
and uh, and we was in a utility room downstairs. My wife and her brother did all the big work, and only thing really left to do is to change the electrical plugs because they're all broke. So I was down on the floor with my tools in hand, and door was open, and I pulled the electrical socket out of there. I was getting ready to get to the wires, and that's when I looked. I just noticed off to my left in the big room, converted garage. That's why I don't have a garage. And I looked in the big room, and there's a man standing there,
Oh,
and I'd say about 5'7", slender build, creased pants, crew cut. I saw him that well. This man's in my house, so
wow.
quickly jump up to my feet to take care of the situation. And by the time I'm up to my feet, he's gone. And I'm like, okay, there's only two ways he could have done. He could have come past me, which he didn't, or he could have went out the back door, which is locked with slide locks on the inside. So I didn't do that. So I'm like, okay, 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 okay. Uh, I just actually seen a ghost now, and uh, and kind of find out he was standing by the electrical panel, which I never turned off the electricity to the. I was getting ready to shock the snot out of myself, and so you're
You're
trying to help
watching
me,
over you. Right. Watching
yeah.
over you.
So, but
Have you
it
done
was
any
after
research
that,
on have you done any research on
yeah,
the house to see if it was a
we
prior
did.
homeowner?
We did. And there's no history of anybody dying in this house. Uh, we have a good abstract that tells everything. The only thing that we can figure, and this is quite the stretch, is the person who bought the tract of land that this whole housing thing is on. Um, he uh, he had uh, I believe my wife is better at this one. I believe he killed his wife and he killed himself,
Mm,
but not here. It was elsewhere. So
right.
I don't know what it is. I think, uh, personal opinion. I think uh, just one of the owners of the house, and he's just
Right.
here.
Okay.
Um, the the lady who we bought the house from was trying to sell it quickly. We got it at a great price. I know that sounds like a typical movie type thing, but got it at a great price. Yeah, built in uh, 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 money basically. We'd throwing money away if we didn't buy it. So our real estate agent is like, really? They only want this amount. I said, got to be something wrong with it, but who knew it's haunted? But but yeah. So whatever. So it was right after that, I was like, okay, well, there's a there's got to be a reason we are in two haunted locations so close together. And I always look for signs, and I thought, okay, well, maybe we need to do something. I mean, I tried to find a paranormal team. There was one in Little Rock, there was one in Northwest Arkansas, and there was one in Oklahoma City. So they're all kind of far away, but none of them matched my mindset. And a lot of them they were putting their evidence online. And I'm a diagnostic professional. I'm an X-ray tech, and I'm looking at their stuff. I'm like, that's an artifact. You're presenting that as like ghostly activity. That and no, that's not. And the EVPs that they're getting, I wasn't hearing what they were saying. There was only like one EVP that I heard. I was like, but EVPs, if you're not there, you know, it could be anybody. You're like, sure, that's a
Right.
ghost, and that's kind of where I'm at that point. So Tina has always been my wife. She's always been in the paranormal since she was a kid. She loves all the spooky stories. As far as paranormal history, she got it down. She knows all the stories. Really loves crypto,
Well, it
all
sounds
the
like she's
ghosts.
quite sensitive.
She, we're not sensitive. We will cry at sad movies, but we don't get into that. We don't have that
Sensitive
kind
to
of
paranormal
ability.
activity. Being
She's
able
open
to
to it.
yes,
Yeah.
open to
And
yeah.
so I said, with my theology and her paranormal knowledge, I said, let's start a team that's a little different than everybody else and come at it with a different mindset. I started the team as a River Valley Paranormal as more of a ministry, to help people out, uh, and also to try to answer questions on my side, which I have more questions now than I ever did when I
That
started.
seems to happen, same thing. We have a team and we kind of also want to do a podcast. And yeah, it seems the further you go, the more questions you end up with.
Yeah, it
So,
but it's a quite the ride.
so starting the team, you then decided you wanted to help people in their residence. Is that kind of why you
Yeah,
started that?
yeah. We didn't do any of the fun places for quite a long time, uh, because we were doing houses. There were no local paranormal team for the longest time, so uh, we were investigating every weekend, sometimes 2 houses a weekend. So,
Wow.
yeah, so we were constantly on the go. We had to one time, uh, Tina's boy wanted to go out to dinner with us, and she had to schedule it, but it was like 2 months out. So she was like, "Okay, we need to slow down a little bit." So yeah, but we did a local hospital here in Fort Smith. It's not open for investigating anymore, but uh, we did that one, uh, and then Fort Chaffee, which is a World War II hospital here. So we got to do those, but other than that, everything we did was homes, nonstop, and businesses that needed us. So.
So let's hear about one of your more active home investigations.
The most active home investigation that we did, like I said, you mentioned it in the bio that we did like 400 uh,
Yeah,
home
that's
investigations,
wow.
and but we only did one that was that we would say would be uh, demonic, if you will,
Okay.
and that one was the most active location we've been, and that's why we're not pretty much not afraid of anything because this house. I mean, when you walked into it, you could feel that. I am not as sensitive. I'm not gifted in that. Neither is my wife. Nobody on my team was at that time. And when we walked into the house, it just felt uh, like stepping into goo.
Ooh,
I mean, you could feel that weight, and we were relatively new as a team, and a little over a year, I think, and I was excited because I'm like, all right, now we got something crazy going on. By this time, we'd seen a lot because the hospital I was talking about that we go to here was very active, so visibly you were able to see lots of shadow people and stuff like that. So lots of EVP. So we felt like we know what we're doing.
mhm,
But uh, I mean, I stepped into this house and I could feel it, and I turned around. I walked in a little bit, turned around. One of my other investigators walked in. He went straight into investigation mode, and he's looking at videos and books and seeing if you know their stories match up with those type things because a lot of people will kind of fudge their stories. And so he's doing that. He never made a mention, but Tina walked in. And she shot me a look and said, "Can you feel that?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I do." So it was right on. When we did the investigation, we go in there and we set up. Uh, I mean, there was an attack in this house, which is why we were there. But we go in there and uh, typical investigation: set up your equipment, turn off the lights, let our eyes adjust. But we turn off the lights, and there was like a like swirling in the air, uh, kind of like I always say it's kind of like oil and water. You know how that
mm,
sheen goes, and that was
right.
all around and on the floor looked like thousands of spiders.
Oh,
They're just
wow.
swarming. So yeah, it made me turn on the lights real quick because I mean my brain knows there's no way they could get me that fast, but still they were
Right.
all over the place. Turn on the lights. Did anybody else see that? And they're like, yeah. So but turn off the lights. All this stuff happening again. What would happen is they would come. It was kind of swarm in, kind of swell in, and when you move towards them, they'd pull back away from you, so it wouldn't come onto you,
Okay.
but it was definitely there. And it was a ranch style home, so you had a living room, kitchen, dinette, and then all the bedrooms are at the other side. Attack happened in a bedroom at the other side, and when we were standing in by the door to the kitchen in the living room, there was a big spider-like shadow on the ceiling, and what it would do is it'd come all the way from the back room of the house and just shoot all the way to that door. It wouldn't come through the door, it wouldn't broach the door, but it'd come, it's up on the ceiling. So it'd
Right.
do that, it'd skitter around the door, and then it would just retreat back.
Oh,
But
geez.
I would think that was probably the most active home. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened that night and a lot of fallout afterwards. But I would say, as far as homes go, that was the most exciting one,
The
if you
spiders, I'd have
will.
been done. I'd been out. I
You
don't. And
well,
then one big one? No. Uh-uh.
yeah, it was a big one. Was really bad. At the end of we investigated that house 2 nights in a row, and at the end of the first night, when we had done, we were turned on all the lights because we had the owner with us on the first night. We did it just a team on the second night, and seeing if there was a difference. And so the owner was kind of shook because other people outside of her family has witnessed all this stuff, and so she went to the uh, she was off and had an investigator trying to help just soothe her. My wife and I were talking. We're by the door. We're discussing the events of the night, and she's facing the back of the house. I'm facing the front of the house, and we're, like I said, by the door. And as we're talking, the back door opened straight up, straight 90 degrees. If it would go 95 degrees, it would have hit a built-in bench. It just opened straight up, and we alerted to that, of course, and come into the kitchen and was looking at the door. And what I see standing outside the door is basically just legs. I don't see an upper body at all. Don't see hands. I don't see a head. I don't even remember seeing feet. I just like pants standing there. And I point at it to try to draw people's attention to it. And as soon as they drop their eyes, the door slams shut with enough force to break the handle. So I was like, okay, this place is
Wow.
different. This place is off the charts. So, but I
You
would say
had
that's
mentioned the fallout afterwards too. I think that's what makes me um, worried about investigating private residences. The
that is
fallout or
that is
the stuff that you
yes.
pick up and then you leave and people have to live there.
Well, that's why you invite a team in. So a team comes in, we increase the energy, we leave, the energy drops. If you investigate your own home, you increase that energy and you never leave, that energy never drops. So
Right.
don't investigate your own
Don't
home. That's
investigate
that's
your own
always
home.
yeah.
Yep.
That's one of my biggest things to tell people. But the like I said, we investigated 2 nights. The first night we come home, I had a big old dog, yeah, 100-pound mutt, and he's an indoor dog, and they hated to be outside. But his whole life, from puppy on, what he would do was when he's coming in inside, we'd open up the door, he'd gallop in at full speed, he'd grab a toy, make a circle, let's play. Well, this night we come home and he'd in the backyard and open up the door and he comes running toward the door like he normally would. About 8-10 feet away from the door, he stopped, dead stop, and looked at me, and then he backs up,
Oh,
and then he goes away. I'm like, okay, so I start praying. Uh, and uh, and Tina's like, "What's going on?" And I told her what happened. She said, "Well, get it out of the house before the kids come home." And that's kind of how nonchalant we were about it. But but no, what we went in there the second night and did the investigation. And the story was there was a young girl ghost that they really enjoyed. There was a young woman ghost that they really enjoyed. And when she was around, it would smell like cooking and stuff like that. And then there was something that they were afraid of. And pretty much with the evidence that we got and the thing that we had seen, we come to the conclusion that they were all one and the same. And
no.
the entity was using the playful side so they wouldn't try to cleanse
Get
the house.
mhm.
And uh, no, I said, no, 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 no. That's playing games with everybody. So uh, we had them pray through the home. I believe I get a little religious here for a second. Jesus said, "I'll never leave you, nor will I forsake you." He also said, "Where two or three are gathered in my name, there I am as well." I said, "You need to have people who know what's going on in the house, and you pray and get it out." And they did. The problem is, I didn't realize they came to live with us. So,
Oh,
uh, yeah. So I went through about 2 years bad, and actually, my wife and I getting ready to be 30 years together. So, but we
congratulations.
almost didn't make it through those 2 years. If it wasn't
Wow.
for if it wasn't for her stubbornness, it wouldn't have happened. But but yeah, it took me a little while to realize what was happening, and then,
Wow.
but yeah, I just thought I was backsliding a little bit.
It's all right. You came back around, so that's
I
good.
did
30 years,
much stronger on this
congratulations
side.
on that.
Y- Oh yeah. Mm.
So, Fort Chaffee,
Yeah.
you were featured on Ghost Adventures talking about the fort. We all understand how they bring people in that have been there
Mhm.
and talk about them. How was that experience?
It was actually pretty good, kinda eye-opening because, back then I was part of I was a Central Zone liaison for the Taps family. I was trying to get Jason and Grant out here, and they had scheduling conflicts, and I was like, they're like, "Well, can you get Ghost Adventures?" I'm like, well, I know a guy, so let me we'll see." And I wasn't too keen on them, because, the show they put on, and but I was like, "Oh, whatever, I'll try." So I threw out a feeler, and from the time that I asked to the time that they were there was like 2 weeks,
Oh, wow.
because they had a scheduling issue too, and they're like, "Well, we have the crew lit, and we need to go." So they showed up, and I have a whole new respect for them after seeing them, because I realized that the show persona that they do is just that.
Mhm.
Uh, Zach was really good at. He was fully in control of the show. He was smart and did things right and directing everything. Of course, when the showtime comes on, his persona comes out. But I will say that I saw him shut down production for a fan, and it's still one of her favorite memories, and so it's great. I enjoyed that he did that. I like how the show comes in, and whereas ghost hunters, they like to say, "We're the first team to ever investigate this location." They're never the first team to investigate that location, but that's what
Right.
they say. And where Ghost Adventures come in, they like, they highlight other teams. They and interview the people that have had
Right.
experiences there
That have
and
been
talk
there
about the
and
town. So I really had a actually good experience. Problem is though, this place was it's if I don't know if you've seen the show, but the show is it's a World War II hospital. I think it opened up the day Pearl Harbor happened. So that wasn't not made for that kind. Wasn't expecting anything. It's just where it's at. It was 128 wooden buildings, uh, and they're all on stilts, not real high stilts, but they're up off the ground, and connected by the long, real creepy hallways. And as an
mm,
investigator, it was just the coolest place ever. So, but but after the show, people wanted to trespass there, and somebody was smoking and burned the whole place down.
oh,
It's gone,
geez.
never to be investigated again.
That's horrible.
It is horrible. So stop trespassing and don't smoke in old buildings.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah, and those sites are I mean, as a World War II hospital, I mean, it's already kinda historical, right? Because you have
Oh yeah,
this thing to it, and then something like that happens. That's horrible.
all gone.
Gosh. Uh, and then a couple other movies or
Yeah, the the Booth brothers. I don't know if you know who they are. They're, I guess, the one that most people know is uh, Spook, the Ghost of Waverly Hills. That put Waverly Hills on the on the map for a lot of the investigators. It was on Sci-Fi. Keith Age hosted it. Booth Brothers put it on. They have a specific style. They've done several movies, and what we did was a movie called called Soul Catcher, and it was we investigated a couple of Indian boarding schools,
Oh,
and I don't know if you know what they are,
well, I
but
was raised on a reservation, so yeah.
okay, so yeah, and at this point when I investigated them, I had no idea what a boarding school was. I had no clue, and but had an opportunity to go and investigate and hunt this place and be filmed. I said, right on, I'll do it. Jumped on and we had a blast. Our 15 minutes of fame.
How
So
did that turn out? I mean, some of those, the way that the natives were treated in some of those boarding schools was horrendous.
horrendous, yes.
Um,
And like I said, I had no clue about
and
any of this stuff.
and probably should have never happened. Um,
It shouldn't have happened. No,
so so how did that investigation turn out? Like, what were you catching with that?
it was actually a really cool investigation. We had some uh, interesting moments. We had one interesting moment that didn't make it on the film. Keith was actually in a tug of war with something that wasn't on the other side. So,
Oh,
but we saw in the show, you'll see out by the burial grounds, there was a tall, like guardian shadow. I don't know how it happened, how it was there, but it was there, and uh, just some of the some of the stuff that happened. The video itself, it aired on the Sci-Fi Channel like one time, and
oh,
then they took it off because, like I say, content, and I guess they didn't want to offend. And then after watching what is it, the Yosemite spinoff, the 1942 or whatever it was. I'm
right,
like, they really, here you go. That's what they did. I'm like,
right.
bring my show back on. Let's play it.
Well, and
But
it was in the media for so long, gosh, 4 or 5 years ago, where they were finding bodies, not even in a burial site, just out there, right?
yeah,
And they were
well,
doing
the
ground
one,
penetrating radar and finding multiple children
yes,
buried, in these
That's one of
places.
the stories that they had at the Seeger School that we did out here. We did Concho in Oklahoma and the Seeger School in Oklahoma, and one of the stories at the Seeger School, and we couldn't substantiate any of these claims. But the story was that smallpox outbreak, they killed them and buried them in mass grave. And of
Right.
course, we didn't have the resources to be able to do that stuff. So I don't know if someday they will, but that's history they want to bury. No pun intended.
No, yeah, and yeah, totally, they do though. So
But that's what's cool about paranormal investigations because we're not only are we having fun looking for ghosts, we're keeping history alive. I mean, how many of these stories just are gone if it wasn't for the guys out there and girls out there just digging this
right.
information up.
Yeah, we become historians when you start to investigate these old historic places. You become a historian. You're digging into those archives and you're bringing that story out again.
But
So
yeah,
yeah,
it was interesting because it was unlike uh, Ghost Adventures, where we had just interviewed. We didn't do any investigations there, but this one we actually filmed before Ghost Adventures. But we were investigating, but they also had some. We did our own B-roll stuff too. So you're going through there, and they're like, "Okay, you guys are going to come this way," and you're walking. Oh, sound to the right. What was that? Oh, it's nothing. Move on. So that was funny. So it's like never did any of that stuff before. So, but the investigating that we did was was real and on point.
nice.
But
And
our,
then Tuesday nights, you and 3 others have a podcast,
Yeah,
right?
it's Amok, and it
Yeah,
stands for yeah, it stands for Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Kansas. And each one of us are from those states. So I'm from Arkansas, so I'm the A in Amok. But yeah, I come up with the idea. Um, well, 4 years ago. So, and I'd never put on a podcast. I had no idea. So I was friends with Shauna. She's from Oklahoma, and I was like, "Hey, I kind of want to do this, but I want to do this area because it's so overlooked. There's so much paranormal stuff in this area, but yeah, nobody knows of anything. In Arkansas, they know the Crescent Hotel. Uh,
right. And
okay,
that's
that's
about
great.
it, right?
But no, there's so much more to it. And in Oklahoma, there's so much more. So I thought I'd do a show where we highlighted teams and locations from these states. And of course, now we're on our fourth season. We've opened it up a little further, and we talk to anybody and about just about everything. And it's mostly paranormal because I was more about I'm more about events. I've investigated a lot. Uh, I've seen pretty much. You can't say you've seen everything because as soon as you say that, you see something that just
Something new,
gets
right?
you. Yeah, but I like to hang out with people and just chat. And conventions and stuff like that are the way to go. So I said mostly paranormal because we don't just do paranormal stuff. So comic cons and anything like that we'll talk about on the show. So
Okay.
kind of fun.
Uh, so that's Tuesday nights that's on, right?
At 7 o'clock Central.
7 o'clock Central.
Yeah, on
Uh,
YouTube and Facebook.
what is in the future for River Valley?
River Valley, we don't. We've decided like we've cut back a lot on investigating, especially since after COVID. COVID, nobody did anything.
Mhm.
So when it came back, it's hard to get back into the swing and doing stuff. And uh, we decided to change our focus and do some of the fun stuff. I'm getting older. I want to go enjoy, and so we've done like Randolph County, and we've done Missouri State Penitentiary. We've done the Ohio State, and it's just it's fun stuff, and you don't there's no pressure because if uh, you don't have to get the turnaround real fast, and you're not you know
Right.
people you're not having to worry about that too much. So but we mainly are doing the fun stuff. We do conventions. We do I speak, I present. I've got we got 3 events between August and October
No.
uh then
Where
doing
are you
so
going to be?
well, August 8th, doing Border Town Paracon. That's in Caney, Kansas, at the rec center there.
Okay.
It's a free event, and if you're anywhere close, it's one of those things you just got to come to one day. And that's basically the reason why we started the team, Amok channel, because uh, Caney is less than 3 hours away from me. They had done this event, and I'm like, I love events. I've never heard this event. Uh, we need to talk about events, so that's why it all basically why it got started. So, but that's August 8th, and September 25th through the 27th is the Central Kansas Paracon in Hutchinson, Kansas.
Central
And
Kansas Paracon. I think in fact, I know that's where I got the River Valley name from. So
yeah,
we are also doing the Central Valley or the Central Kansas Paracon.
are you really? So
Um,
we'll meet face to face.
yeah, we will. In fact, I'm doing this so that I can bring people back on during that. We're going to have 2 tables. Way Out West Paranormal, that's my team, is setting up one, and the girls will be at that table, and Jason and I are going to set up a unraveling table and do live interviews. So
Yeah,
we're going
that's
to pull you over for an interview.
same. We're gonna do the same because we're
Nice.
doing the
Good.
same thing. All right, excellent.
Nice.
But no, that's gonna be great. She looks like she's putting on a good event. It's gonna be fun. So
Man, it is rounding out really well. I've been watching the page and sharing the stuff, and she has all these speakers, and it looks great.
So, and then after that, in October, We're doing the Arkansas Paranormal Expo. More than just a speaker at that, we're kind of we kind of help put that on and
Oh,
bring speakers in. But that's a yeah, probably the largest convention that I've done, just because it's at the MacArthur Museum in Little Rock, and so you got multiple floors and speakers
oh,
Saturday and Sunday all day long, and vendors galore. So it's just a great place, great thing to do, and all that money goes to the MacArthur Museum for their upkeep. So it's
nice.
a but yeah, so I like to talk, so I can yammer for just forever.
I believe it. This 45 minutes has gone by so quick. There is one question I do like to ask all of our guests. And now that you're out, you're not doing the residentials, you're out doing the fun stuff.
Mhm.
Bucket list place. Where's somewhere you have not been that you want to go to? It could be anywhere in the
Y
world.
I would like to do Alcatraz.
Oh,
That would be fun. I like the jails, uh, and, there's the Old South Pittsburgh and the Harriman hospitals in Tennessee.
right.
They're high on my list, and we're making plans to be there next year.
Nice.
I'm a medic. I've been a medic for 41 years, so I
Oh,
feel at
well,
home in
thank
a
you for that.
hospital.
Yep.
It's what I do, man. I love it. And so when I get to a hospital, any kind of hospital, I'm happy to be at. So, but
Nice.
that's pretty much it. I like doing those kind of things.
I have a Tennessee one on my bucket list, and it's Brushy Mountain Penitentiary.
Yeah, yeah. And
Gosh.
you know, we did the one in Ohio, and that was great. It was fantastic. Enjoyed it, and had a lot of activity to it. Uh, uh, and uh, couldn't I wanted to go back, and we had an opportunity to go to Missouri, and once again, great, spooky. Didn't really have any experiences there. My group didn't, but other people did. Uh, you know, right place at the right time type
Right.
stuff. But it those jailhouses in the dark, they're creepy.
They are
And we like creepy, right? That's why we do what we do.
why we do
So
what we do. Yep. Adrian, I really appreciate you coming on this week and
no
chatting with
problem.
us. I look forward to meeting you in Kansas, you and the rest of the Amok crew, and we'll see you there.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Well, thanks for coming on. I'm going to put you in the green room and I'll come back and chat with you.
No problem.
Such a great interview. Almost every week I hear when I shut down the show, I go upstairs and my wife says, "You said it was another great guest." And I'm like, "It is a great guest. All the guests we bring on the show are great because they talk about the stuff that we like, be it the cryptids, the paranormal stuff, anything like that. That's what we like to talk about. So they're all great. Another great guest. We're going to see him out at Central Kansas Paracon in Hutchinson. That is in September. They're going to be at a couple more places. Go back and hear those locations. Go see them. And all I can do is thank you all for watching tonight. Y'all have a good night.
Unraveling the Darkness would like to thank Horn Paranormal Research for sponsoring our show. If you're craving more paranormal content, don't forget to check out our YouTube and Facebook channels at Way Out West Paranormal and Unraveling the Darkness. You can catch all of our episodes of Unraveling the Darkness on Apple Podcasts, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe as it helps others find the show and join in on the paranormal fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, keep your lights on, stay safe, and remember, the truth is out there, and it might just be closer than you think.